Today's short is why Eddie Munson's strings were cut. Beyond keeping numbers in check, beyond establishing narrative stakes, beyond preventing heroes from expiring on the page, outliving their usefulness or personal denouement, beloved characters have to die because they are beloved. The writer giveth, the writer taketh away. This God-playing produces a triumvirate of effects: investment, resonance, and grief on the part of the audience. Let's use the recent example of Eddie Munson from Stranger Things. Denial and bargaining. Eddie Munson is marked from the onset. Readers, writers, gamers, and film fanatics the world over can often see over the peak of a plot central arc and predict how a story will conclude. It's not prognostication, it's a familiarity with the algorithmic nature of narrative. We identify those patterns, and then we engage in denialism because we've emotionally invested. We've been successfully seduced into loving that which is destined to be lost. So we preemptively rewrite the end to include salvation, redemption, resurrection, a turnaround for our favorite characters, which doesn't always prove to be erroneous. This reimagining of narrative outcomes, however, can be viewed as a kind of bargaining. In Eddie's case, we will him to survive, our premise being that it is possible, if not probable, because of his narrative significance. But what sorts of knots would the fate's unused scissors leave behind? Eddie is still a wanted man, the object of a modern-day witch hunt replete with religious conspiracy theories, teenage vigilantes, and a town that suspects him of satanic ritual killings. Writers are not only artful manipulators, but ruthless pragmatists who must take practical considerations into account. It is often in deference to sense and not to sentiment that they whet their axe and murder their darlings. The foreknowledge that this will be necessary does indeed motivate additional investment on the writer's part with the aim of an impactful death, not merely a subtraction, but a substantial loss. As a beta reader once told me, honor the death, make us mourn the character. They deserve that much. Anger and depression. Fans of Eddie Munson are upset, as well they should be. This is, after all, the intended effect of a narrative death, to invoke feeling. If the audience is unfazed by a character's demise, the writer has failed to do their job. When evaluating the suitability of a character for a cataclysmic end, the writer must weigh the merits of the character and the work of maneuvering them through a compelling arc. Does their development justify going out with a bang, or will a whimper suffice? Eddie arguably goes farther and faster than any other character in the series in that he completes his inner journey over the course of one season. A hero's death isn't dealt generously by seasoned writers. It's an honor very consciously bestowed to characters they, as much as their audience, hold in high esteem. It may be worth noting how Eddie's death discreetly diverges from that of Bob Newby, another single-season character who warmed his way into our hearts. Bob dies a debatably good death, its only downfall being its convenience, not to be confused with its inevitability. Bob's death, or rather the way in which it's been contrived, exposes the writer's hand. It feels slightly staged in its execution despite the delivery of a consistently solid performance. Eddie's death, while equally preventable and even according to some sources functionally needless, benefits from the active choice that precipitates it and fulfills his heroic cycle. Acceptance. If the death is adequately resonant, if it pulses long into the silence, if it proves itself befitting the character we've come to love, however inadvisedly and at the hands of puppet masters, we accept it. An audience's heartstrings are made to be pulled. A hero's lifelines are created to be cut. This is the cathartic reenactment of mortality and its vicious cycle, fiction being no stranger to fact. Alfred Lord Tennyson said it best: "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all."